on our team. We're glad to have people like Andy on our team as well. We're going to go right into the next speaker, and that is Dr. Tania Cubitt again, and talking about our partnership with Performance Horse Nutrition.
I'm not really going to talk about that. He's going off this, and I just changed things. Tina said, really, you can't change things? Well, I am. I'm changing things. So I actually talked about that this morning. And this afternoon, you always want to know what's new. And so RJ and I talked about just keeping you up to date with some of the improvements, updates we've made to the products, why we've done them. You know, we listen to you guys. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we start, I wanted to tell a quick Andy story. And you probably heard it before, but I still have PTSD over this. The very first time I traveled, maybe the first or second time I traveled with Andy, it was, I don't know, we were out in one of the states that start with an I, and there was a tornado coming. And I don't know, you know, he was really trying to impress, and we're going to get to the next meeting, and we're going to do it. And I was like, do you think we should go out in this weather? We'll be fine. We get a little way out into that weather, and he says, I think we need to go back. So I've never forgotten that. But anyway. And I also, you know, we talk about team all the time, and Andy has been exceptional in his sales, but over the last couple of years, I've got to talk with his wife more, and I will tell you that you have somebody standing out in front. You've got RJ standing out in front, you've got Randy, you've got myself. Behind us, there's always somebody at home that's always holding down the fort. You've got Nicole down there, and I know she does a lot with her husband, so the team starts at home as well. So we're all very thankful to have a really great team in our own household, so that's super important. But what's new? What's new? The first product that I would like to talk about is the DAC Metabolic. It's a relatively new product for those of you that aren't that familiar with the DAC Metabolic. It is chromium and magnesium. Right? It's the Chemtrace chromium, comes from Chemin, which is the only FDA-approved chromium for use in horses. Chromium is an exceptional product. It unlocks glucose, which is really the fuel for life, and enables the animal to, you know, do whether it be immune function, brain function, recovery. Chromium is quite exceptional. With the metabolic, we put this product together. For years, people had asked me about, we need a product for horses with laminitis or insulin resistance. Have you heard about this herb? Have you heard about that thing? And I was like, no, none of those things work. Until we came to the chromium product, we started using it right when it had been officially approved by the FDA, and there is a boatload of science in horses and in a lot of other livestock species on its ability to help with glucose and insulin regulation. So the DAC Metabolic, those insulin-resistant horses that their insulin function is broken, the chromium in that product helps those horses. But you'll notice on the tiny little white pellets, that's what the DAC Metabolic looked like when we first launched this product. It was manufactured by a company that sells primarily milk products, so they wouldn't have anything of color in their milk. So no alfalfa, nothing like that. So it was a whey-based product, and it was in that tiny little pellet. To get a product into that tiny little pellet, which we thought was a bit of a novelty at the time, it would be easy to put in your feed and mix in well, high pressure and high steam. So any of you that have used the metabolic know that it kind of had a bit of a smell at times that I would get a lot of messages about ferment in the warehouse. It smells again, you need to do something about it. So anyway, we actually have changed manufacturers, and the picture on the right-hand side, or the other side, greener pellet, that's now got an alfalfa carrier. Much more palatable. If you smell it, it smells really normal. There's no kind of off smell to it. It is exactly the same product, exactly the same guaranteed analysis, all the key benefits, the chromium and the magnesium, but it does look different. I know that the biggest mistake you can make with horse people is changing what the product looks like, okay? But so I'm just giving you the backstory on why we made those changes. The quality control is going to be a lot easier with this. Kalmbach is actually now manufacturing that product for us. So if you've got any questions about that, I'll take them at the end. But it is still the same great product. If you've had success with it in the past, you will continue to have success, even more because now more horses will probably want to eat it. The next product that we have made significant changes to, and this is listening to you guys, listening to the territory managers, the Breeders' Choice Plus. So one of the questions I get a lot from newer people that come to the DAC company or are using the DAC products is, how do I choose between products, whether it be the Orange and the Total Performance and the Breeders' Choice Plus or the Colt Grower? How do I choose? We'll talk about vitamins and minerals. How do I decide which one's the right one for me? Well, the Colt Grower is kind of easy. It's got a young horse name in it. It's for a young horse. But then Total Performance, Orange. Like if you look at the label, like a lay person may say, I don't really know what the difference is. And so a lot of times we would say the Breeders' Choice Plus, it has slightly more vitamin A in it, selenium, and those things are excellent for improved reproductive efficiency. The Breeders' Choice Plus product was always manufactured and positioned for those broodmares and stallions. But if you had DAC Orange in your program and your mares did have no problems getting pregnant, then you could use the DAC Orange, right? So it didn't have a clear lane other than the name of it. We wanted to improve that. We wanted to make this very specifically for the breeding horse and put some of those added technologies in there that we know are going to help with reproductive efficiency and bone density in those foals. So the first addition is that calcium powder, right? The calcite, the marine-derived calcium. We've talked about it before. We talk about it a lot when it comes to gastric ulcers. Because of the actual physical form, it looks like honeycomb under a microscope, right? And if you get your catalog out, that page on the screen there, that is a page in the catalog now. Again, a new tool to help you sell that technology, right? Sometimes I get a bit lost and I'm like, well, I know how to sell it. I'm talking about it all the time, but I read it, live and breathe it every day, and I know like there's a lot of you that don't do this every day. Maybe you've got other jobs. So I wanted to make it a lot more simplified so that you have a tool, like with the GI Pro 3, the calcium powder. We've got a tool here so that when you get in a situation, you've got 30 seconds to sell somebody on a new technology, it's much easier for you. So anyway, the Breeders' Choice Plus has that calcite, the calcium powder in it, along with the Cool Gut and the Pre-Buff and the Colt Grower. And why it's in the Breeders' Choice Plus now is because of that bone density. Significant amount of research done on this product, this ingredient, the calcite, calcium powder, improving bone density in those young horses and those young foals, and that will pass through the placental barrier and it will improve the bone density. It's more like cartilage density in that fetus. It will also help with milk quality. Oops. The other change we made was to add the chromium. The Chemtrace chromium, which we've talked about for glucose and insulin, and how in those metabolic horses with the crusty neck that can't have high sugars and starches, because the reason why they can't have sugars and starches is because they can't clear that glucose out of the blood, and the chromium helps them do that. In a performance horse or an animal that we're expecting to have high performance, which is a broodmare, there really isn't much higher caloric or nutrient requirements than making a baby. We know that the chromium increases reproductive efficiency, okay? It will reduce infection, improve conception rates, improve pregnancy rates. This next one I think is huge, is a huge selling point, because anytime we add technologies, yes, it does increase the price. You get what you pay for. But right here, if somebody says, oh, really? You had to increase the price? Not sure I want to buy that. reduced days to first service. So anyone in the broodmare game knows, you send a mare to the stud, send her off to the breeding farm, and she doesn't take that first time. She doesn't cycle, or she doesn't take. She's got to stay there with them feeding her, send you a bill until they can have another go. And that is going to cost you a lot more than $5 that we increase the bag by. So, reduced days. Sometimes you've got to reposition it to how much is it costing you not to use this technology, right? It also increased number of viable oocytes. All of this research has been done in high-stress situations. We've done a lot of work in dairy cows on reproductive efficiency. So those two ingredients are in the Breeders' Choice Plus now. So really, if you have brood mares and you want to level up and you want to really feed them something that is going to help with reproductive efficiency, help throughout that pregnancy, the Breeders' Choice Plus would be my choice over the other vitamins and minerals. Last year, we launched fly control in the lick tub. And there was a lot of questions. And people said, well, what if we don't want to feed the lick tub? How can we just have the fly control? Can't you just sell us the fly control without the lick tub? And we said, oh, I don't know. So now you can buy the fly control, 40-pound bag. It's got a very low feeding rate, a long shelf life. The one thing is, with any fly control, is that all animals on your property have to be on some kind of fly control. So this actually does help us out, because we know that not every horse would be on a lick tub. Maybe you've got the horses out here that are maintenance horses, not doing a lot, they're eating the lick tub. You've got performance horses in the barn. They weren't eating the lick tub, so they weren't getting that fly control. So now you will have access to be able to put that. Don't ask me a question about how much it's going to cost or when you're going to get it. Direct that to RJ right in the back there. I know it's coming very soon. We toyed with, there's a couple of things that are on the horizon. Should we tell you? Should we let it out of the bag now? But my thing is, we've got everybody here. As Andy said, you're going to go home and talk to people. So this is an excellent opportunity to get people excited, to get information out there. That's what I kind of use this platform for, just get information out there. The pre-buff, I know the pre-buff has been a little bit of a bane in everybody's side. We've had some issues with the bottles exploding. And I put it up here because I want you to know that we're continually working on this. It's a great product. It's that marine-derived calcium in a liquid form. It's kind of thick. It's the only DAC product that works instantaneously. Every other product you need to look, 30, 60 days. This product works immediately. You feed it and your horse's gut is instantaneously buffered. All right? You're going to trailer, you're going to have the veterinarians coming, you're going to ride the horse. I know he doesn't have ulcers, but I don't want him to get ulcers. I know he's going into a stressful situation. The pre-buff is a perfect product to feed. But we've had obviously some manufacturing. We're working with a different manufacturer to make sure that consistency and quality comes first. We've had products, and I know it gets very frustrating when you see back-ordered, not available, when we've got this great product. But it's the utmost of importance that we continue to provide you with a consistently good product. And if it's not being consistently, having the quality control that we want, then we will hold it until we can get at that point. So I just want to tell you, I apologize that we've been having these issues, but in transparency, when you see that something's backordered like that there's a reason, a good reason. We don't want to send out product that doesn't match our standards. So that's what we're working on. And lastly, the cool gut. The cool gut, there's nothing wrong with the cool gut, other than sometimes it's made in the same facility, the manufacturing facility that has, will not have any green products in it, and so it's whey-based as well. You know, back in the day, I tried to put Cubitt in it, and it really smelled. So there's been things that I've wanted to do, you know, technology's come along and I've wanted to improve it or add it here or add there, and I haven't been able to. Again, this is that tiny pellet, and so we're looking to have this one manufactured also by Cubitt, so it would mean that it would change, like the metabolic did, go from a tiny white pellet to a dark green pellet. And I know that might freak everybody out, but I'll tell you, I'm just telling you now, you know, that if it does change, we will let you know. That is something that we're looking at doing. So that then we can make it, it's easier with a larger pellet to be able to add new technologies. That tiny pellet does restrict us on what we can add, because it has to go through a lot of high heat and pressure to get that tiny pellet, and that decreases the amount of technologies you can put in there, because some of them are broken down by that. So again, just to make sure that we're giving you the best product that we can. A little insight into some manufacturing, that's not what we talk about a lot, but it is a big part of supplying you with quality products. And I think that not only is communication, Andy talked about communication, there's nothing that we want to hide from you. Like, we're transparent. I think that's very important. That a lot of times people say that the experts that work with a company are the furthest away and you never get access to them. But there's so many of you in here that I know on a first name basis that communicate with me regularly, whether it be by text or phone call or email. And so I want to continue that relationship. I want to make sure that you all know that I am a resource, that Dr. Durham is a resource. And you know, that only starts by building that relationship so that you feel like you can trust me. I'm being open and honest about what we're doing. So I actually don't have any more because I knew that this would lead into the Q&A section, and I knew you'd probably have a lot of questions. That's why I made Andy go first. And there was a method to my madness. So I don't know whether Andy and RJ want to come back up here, or whoever's supposed to do the Q&A with me. Just making assumptions for me to help answer the questions, but you know what assumptions make.
We'll open it up here for the next 5 to 10 minutes on questions. Got one right there.
Reader's Choice Plus, that change made in the warehouse?
The Reader's Choice Plus, yes. The product that is going to be shipping out, we only have about 45 bags of the old stuff left. I have set it aside. If you guys place your orders, you guys have came to DAC Days, you're the first ones to hear about it. You all will receive the new Reader's Choice Plus rolling out there. The metabolic, there is 20 pounders left, depending on the size you get. But as far as 5, 40 pounders, the new stuff is up.
Yes, sir.
See ya.
So I think the question is, with a buggy horse harnessed up, ready to go, and you want it to eat some hay or something, I am always a big proponent of don't exercise on an empty stomach because we get that splash effect. So he's trying to, you know, practice what I'm preaching and get the horse to eat something, but it doesn't really want to. That is a perfect situation for the pre-buff, because you can give it, it's instantaneously buffering the stomach. A lot of times we've actually had testimonials from people where horse doesn't really want to eat, give it pre-buff, it immediately soothes the stomach, and then they actually want to eat. So if you get a horse in that doesn't want to eat, maybe they're a bit uncomfortable, then pre-buff is something that I would add to the program just to encourage them to eat, because it helps them with that pain. Does that kind of help? Is that what he's talking about? Is there a benefit to feeding the DDA and the pre-buff at the same time? Absolutely. You wouldn't, in that situation, you wouldn't feed the DDA with the pre-buff. The pre-buff is the only one that's immediately working, so that horse is, you know, tacked up, ready to go, and he wanted it to eat something, and it wouldn't, whether it was excitement or not feeling comfortable. The DDA is something more of a maintenance. Every day, my little saying is, every horse every day should eat the DDA. But not certainly not like timed, it just needs to be in the meal.
How long does the pre-buff, how long will a horse experience the benefit from that?
That's an excellent question. So how long will the horse reap the benefit or the buffering effect of the pre-buff? Pull out your catalog, and actually there's a little chart that we did on the pre-buff, in the pre-buff page. At the University of Kentucky, we actually simulated the stomach environment and we measured how quickly the pre-buff would work. And it actually lasts for 4 to 6 hours.
Has there been any studies done on, if you have a horse that knows how to eat around the minerals in the pre-buff, would that maybe help a horse?
What are they eating around?
The
minerals.
in their,
Oh yeah, go ahead, guys.
I'll start on it. The big thing that I always say is it depends on the feed you're feeding. If you're feeding a dry feed and you put the minerals on top, a lot of times people will say, well, they sift it down through the bottom. We recommend putting on oil. Our oil works very, very well. It ends up making the feed very palatable. Our oil is one of our most palatable products. And making sure you mix it in good once you put that oil on there. And the big thing is make sure you don't go home and if you need to feed 2 or 3 ounces of that product, don't start with that. Horses are such a creature of habit. We have to back it down, do small increments for that first week or so. Maybe pull the grain back, make them a little bit hungry. They'll gradually start eating on it and then fulfill up to where it needs to be at.
I think to add on to there, the moisture part, you eat oil, water, anything like that. Banana flavored, I know you said it a lot, banana flavored instant pudding, peppermint antacid, anything like that had some flavoring, just sprinkle a little bit of that on. Get them hungry, that's one thing RJ said, back them down. They're not gonna starve to death overnight. You know, make sure they've got hay, make sure they've got their water, obviously, but get them a little hungrier and then work back up. And some horses will shoot the lead a brick, other ones you feed one little thing and they're like, ah.
I will talk on that. That was a tough one to look at. The simple reason that we don't have the DHA perform is our cost. We have been driven higher and higher. It was going to be unfeasible for us to purchase, let alone try to sell it. But we did a lot of talking with Tanya. What could we do? It's a great product. The amount of DHA that is in our Breeders XL, if you are looking for that DHA product, by all means, talk to your territory manager. You can supplement in the Breeders XL, get that same amount of DHA, and fulfill those same requirements.
Oh, question about HYPP. So, quarter horse pedigree that cannot have high amounts of potassium in the diet, genetic condition. There's not enough potassium in any one of our supplements fed at the rates that they're fed. The first thing I ask people when they're quizzing me about the amount of potassium, telling me that there's too much in there, I can't feed that. The internet told me I've got to keep my diet less than 1.2%, and that's got 1.25 in it. And I said, well, what kind of hay are you feeding? Alfalfa. Everybody feeds alfalfa. My grandpa feeds alfalfa. I've been doing that for my whole life. You know what alfalfa is? Straight potassium. So, no. The sensible answer to your question is that if your horse was hyper sensitive, you might be a little, we can talk about kind of the correct way to feed an electrolyte supplement. Any electrolyte is going to be the same. But other than that, the rest of the supplements, you feed such a small quantity. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Probably improve it. It's not milk-based.
She asked if the change of the metabolic will decrease the shelf life, and Dr. Cubitt said it will probably improve it. I will tell you that if you open up the bag, Furman and I, when it first came in, we opened up a bag, and it smells like you opened up a fresh bale of alfalfa. Not like the metabolic was before, so we were very excited to see that.
What's the timelines on the fly control and the cool gut change?
The timeline on the fly control?
Yeah.
So we are actually, I was hoping to have a for sure answer on that, and to be honest, I'm going to tell you the end of April. I would love to say it's going to be sooner than that. We have already, Furman and I talked on it to get it in the DAC bags, to get everything rolling on that. So we will, as soon as it is, there will be letters sent out, territory managers will know, but I don't want to miss fly season, I think we want to get going on it.
And how about the cool gut? What's the timeline on that change?
Cool gut timeline change, Dr. Cubitt and I will be working here in the month of April, seeing what we can get accomplished.
Is there a protocol for someone who wants to do an event, like other dealers? Do you have to stay in your area, or if you want to go something a little bigger? What's the protocol for that?
Yeah, I think it goes back to communication. Talk to your territory manager, make sure they don't have someone else that's going to it, because it doesn't make sense for two dealers there. But as a dealer, there aren't protected territories or anything like that, but I want it to be worth your time, so I don't want you to go there and find out that, another dealer is there as well, and you're both selling the same thing and washing each other out. So I think it's just a communication part. I know for the most part, all of us have Facebook groups that our group is in. Don't be afraid to pop in there and say, hey guys, I'm going to this event. Is there going to be anyone else in there selling the DAC products? You can do that, or just reach directly to your territory manager.
I just have one, not a comment on that, but this was a situation that happened a few weeks ago, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to bring it up. So maybe one of your dealers. Anyway, so a dealer messaged me and said, can you send me the research on product decks, on our rescue aid, I think. Somebody is telling me, this person I was talking to about it is telling me that hindgut ulcers don't exist, and so I want to show her the research that they do exist. And I think the person had some other supplement they were trying to sell, maybe, I don't know. But my initial reaction, I immediately sent her a paper on the incidence of hindgut ulcers, and there's veterinarians all around the world that will tell you this is a real thing. I mean, we got horses, chronic diarrhea, colic, unexplained. I mean, this is a real issue. But then I got to thinking, I was like, why do we always have to constantly prove science? And Jenna mentioned it before, well, I've got a better product. You show me your science that yours is fine, Why do we constantly have to prove ourselves? We have the science. If you're trying to go against, all of the science and the norm, then that person that's arguing with you, politely, you show me your science. I've got a whole book full of science here. I've got 2 PhD nutritionists. I've got science coming out my ears, and your crazy wacky idea that whatever it is that heard that you should be feeding, this is way better than anything you've got. Okay, fine, that's great. You show me your science, because it's unfortunate that we continue to have have to prove ourselves and prove our science. But be confident that we do have the science. Be confident in the products that you're selling, that you're representing, because ultimately the only thing any one of us has is our reputation. And you can only stand behind products and companies that you have confidence in. And so I really do hope that when you come to these meetings, and I'm such a huge proponent of people coming to DAC days, so that it really does help emphasize that confidence that you have, not only in the products, but in the brand, and that the team that are there. You may not see us when you're in that conversation, but we're right there. We are right there behind you in every conversation. And just know that we are there. So, that was TED Talk. Sorry. Any other questions?
The pasture lift in the features, it doesn't list the GI Pro 3.
It's not in the postulate.
On the products that contain the GI Pro 3, if you look down at the bottom of all their pages, there'll be the PHN GI Pro 3 label on it. And then I think the sheet in your packet as well has them all broke down, kind of shows where they're at a supportive level and a therapeutic level as well. So.
We have a male repeating breeder's choice. She wants to have a bull, a mom. When the bull is born, should we keep on feeding breeder's choice?
So the question is, he's got a mare, she's in foal, she's going to have it in a couple of months, she's on Breeder's Choice. When the mare is born, should she continue to stay on the Breeder's Choice Plus? Yes, because that foal is also going to nibble away at her food, and that is going to help, the extra calcium is going to help that foal. At about 3 months of age, you're going to transition that foal to getting its own supplement. So at that age, it could get the cold thrower, which also has that calcium, but his system is adjusted to it. So yeah, I would keep her on the Breeder's Choice Plus at least until you wean. And if she's a broodmare that's staying in your broodmare band, by the time that foal is weaned, she's pregnant again anyway, so.
All right, well, we're gonna end the questions on that for right now. We'll go back to one more questionnaire at the end when we give out the last bit of our giveaways. With that being said, we are going to step into awards. So thank you, Dr. Cubitt and Andy, on that. Let's give them a round of applause, guys.